there's nobody else like BiLan. We became friends and colleagues. We were the only two females in this division, so we bonded very quickly. She just is so forthright person. It's really, until you read the book, you don't realize what an important person in the art world that she is. There were many, many times, especially in the summers, that she was invited to international conferences to speak. She is just so well respected everywhere. One of my granddaughters had her for intro art, her first semester in school, intro to art class, and she absolutely loved it. She just made the whole thing so interesting that the students they really enjoyed her class. They still talk about it, and in fact, my granddaughter has borrowed my copy of the book and is reading it. She had seen her from a teaching standpoint, and when she said, Granny, I want to read a book and it needs to be true. I don't want to read anything fiction. I said, how about BiLan's book? And so she just absolutely loves it. We've talked about it. I have found recently our children know nothing about China the way it was and what it's coming out of until they start reading it and understanding what went on. But most of the young people now, 30 on down, probably don't have any idea of communist China, but they don't really understand what she came from. And that's a shame. I don't want Abby to think that everybody is like BiLan either, because not everybody over there was a survivor, or still is. She had to have so much courage and strength to do what she did, and not everybody was that fortunate, or even still, not just for BiLan's story, but any of those stories. Like the thing they say, if we don't learn from history, we will repeat it. She was very involved, clubs on the main campus, cultural diversity clubs and things. She was always right there doing all kinds of things, especially Chinese New Year, and her place down here, her gallery down here was wonderful. Most people probably don't realize that BiLan has the sense of humor that she does, but she really has a sense of humor and determination. She's just a very strong person, not just a strong woman. I just enjoyed being with her. BiLan had some challenges here because of the language, because of not only was it a cultural difference from where she came from, she came to the South, and we are a little different than other areas of the world, and so she had some of those to deal with too. BiLan has a very big following here. Her students loved her. They still do.
BiLan has many strengths as a teacher. When I would do her performance evaluations as her direct supervisor, always I would be in admiration of the ease that she has with people, her social ease, her ability to interact with people of all social levels and all economic backgrounds, and that she is enormously personable, and that people genuinely always, regardless of their experiences with BiLan, always had a high regard for her as a person. On a personal level, I learned about BiLan and her family struggle, but on a larger level, I learned about the struggles of a group of individuals. The thing that I think was lacking from our education system, and the things we would learn about the history of the Chinese Revolution, the Cultural Revolution, was the sort of extremity of it, right? And how radical the practices were, and how many people died, and how different sections of this enormously large country were impacted in different ways. And with paintings, we have the ability to convey information and meaning metaphorically. BiLan makes good use of this. But I think in terms of my personal relationship with BiLan, the things that I liked about her most was just that she was very friendly.
BiLan came in at a fantastic time into our program. The Paducah School of Art and Design was just getting off the ground. I was here for about 5 years before that, and I went through the hiring process with our board, and we decided on BiLan. It was a very competitive position, and she had a really outstanding portfolio. Actually an easy decision to choose BiLan to head up our painting department. So she came in at the ground level. The classes were filled. We have a mixed bag of students here as well in terms of ages and skill levels, and I think BiLan adapted really well to the types of students that we have here. And she has a very strong character as well. And I think she runs a really tight, rigid ship in her program in painting and 2D design as well. So she was a great asset from the get-go to have her as part of our team. With BiLan's ability to come aboard and teach the courses here in Western Kentucky, I think BiLan has a really nice nice approach. She has a interesting way speaking to the students. There's a little bit of, the accent's obvious, but it was never a problem, and it's never a problem with me. And I never heard the students complain about her accent being hard to understand or her. As an art professor, I've really enjoyed BiLan's artwork. I've been familiar with her work for about 10 years. When she came aboard the Paducah School of Art and Design initially, I saw a lot of her earlier works, or the works that she was working on at the time. And I think she was in the MFA program at Kendall. And she was working on a series of works, the Tibet series, I believe it was. And I thought those were some, incredibly powerful paintings. They were brightly colored. Actually, what really attracted to me was her composition. She didn't do necessarily normal size works, and they could have been elongated in any way. And I really liked how she used the composition in a lot of her pieces. And I was really struck by she had a triptych about her father, about the death of her father, that I thought was quite moving. That still stands out to this day when I think of BiLan's work. The Cultural Revolution, as I see it in BiLan's artwork, was it was really tough on her, and that's what I get from it. I have a copy of her book as well, and the stories that she tells in her book match up with her narrations quite well, and it was a really depressing life for her. I think BiLan has really done a great job in her life and how she's gotten from China to here, and she's become incredibly successful despite the incredible hardships that she went through as a child and teenager. I don't know if I know much about the immigration process. I think that she picked up English as a second language when she came to the States. And I know that BiLan has worked incredibly hard and diligently using proper grammar, English and speaking and in writing as well. I would say that may be one of the tougher things for her in immigrating from China to here is entering a new country and to pick up the language as fast as she. I think BiLan does a great job in articulating her narrations and her stories from her child into her artwork, her paintings especially. She does a fantastic job. The cultural experiences I picked up from BiLan and getting to know her was how rigid the Chinese culture is. They're very truthful folks. I've dined with BiLan at her house, and she's told me all kinds of stories of phone conversations. The things I like the most about BiLan, I like her sincerity and her being so devoted to the students. I think she's a fantastic instructor in painting and 2D design, and I think she's done a wonderful job with her students and incredibly dedicated. She was always promoting the students, getting exhibits for them, working with them after hours at school. The legacy that BiLan has left since having left Paducah, I think she's made everyone that's been around her more aware of the culture and the Chinese life that she has had. And it was incredibly difficult. And I think everybody that has run into her or worked with her in any capacity knows what a tough life she's had. And she has just come out like a real winner.